Welcome back to another episode of a Classic Truck Garage. I've got my front bumper here. It's been sitting in the barn under the shed for 6 years, maybe. I was worried it may have started rusting through the chrome. It's a factory bumper. It's the bumper that came on the 83. I'm going to turn the camera around. This truck was used on a farm I've known the truck since 93. I don't think it even had, best I remember, it may have had right at 30,000 miles on it. And I know most people don't believe it now, but it's only got 60,000 miles on it. 62. I know people's going to say, well, no, it's rolled over. Well, no, it ain't. The motor, everything, it's all factory, doesn't smoke. But anyway, what I was getting at, the last 30,000 miles of its life was rough. It pulled some huge rolls of 6x6 rolls of hay, for a 350 truck with automatic. Of course, it wasn't on the road. It was coming out of the fields with it, but, it stayed overloaded all the time. The last few years before I bought it, he used it. They had a paint sprayer in the back of it with a generator, and they've got miles of the black wood and fancy fence. And they had hired my cousin to paint all their fences, and he used the truck with a sprayer in the back. And you can look at pictures of when I first got the truck. I had to take gas and a rag and clean spots out on the windshield where I could see how to drive it home. But that black paint was on everything, inside of it, steering wheel, gauges. I mean, it was awful, awful. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna flip the camera around here. As you can see, the overspray off of that fence paint, I mean, it is thick. It's almost like truck bed liner on it. Like, it is ungodly. So I'm going to try to get all of it cleaned up. I'm not going to bore you with that. I've been taking lacquer thinner and paper towels. I know I can't believe I'm using paper towels and at a shortage. What's the deal with toilet paper? I can think of a ton of other things that I'd be more stressed about not having than paper towels and toilet paper. But I'm going to try to get it cleaned up. I'm going to try to get this dent out. It's tweaked just a little on the corner. Going to try to straighten this back out. And I've got a buffer I bought to do some buffing on the truck. Probably may not use it on the truck. Probably not. May try on the tailgate. But I am going to run it over this and try to polish it out and I know I won't get most of the scratches, but I'm going to try to clean it up really good, get it looking the best I can. I just hate to buy an aftermarket one, because it'll start peeling, in a week or so. So I'm going to finish getting this cleaned up. I may come back and set up time lapse when I start trying to get the dent out. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to heat it or hammer on it very hard, take a chance on cracking anything. So if I have a little bit of that dent left, it'll be all right. And I've been looking. Years ago, I used to take them off, but I would love to have some of the bumper guards to go on it. Used to, I hated them. Same thing with cab trim. I really like to put the cab trim on the back of it, the Silverado cab trim, but I'm not going to drill holes in the back of my cab. And looking back now, when I was younger, I didn't really like it. I have ground the studs off of a factory cab with it before I've painted them before. And I'd love for that one to have the studs on it, to be able to put it on there. But I'm going to get it cleaned up, see what I can do with it, see how good I can get it. I'm going to flip it over, wire brush the insides. I think I've got some POR 15 left. May try to paint it and the brackets with it. Not for sure. May just end up spraying it with Rust-Oleum or something. But well, I got all the paint off of it, the overspray from the fence paint. Still got some kind of residue, you can see. I know these are chrome plated. It's not stainless, so I don't want to mess it up, but I'm going to try wet sanding it with 2000 grit. I'm going to test it out right in here and then run the buffer over it. And let's see how good I can get it cleaned up. If it looks like it's going to work out pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. If it looks like it's going to work out pretty good though, I'll move on, do this side, and then I'm going to try to hammer and dolly some of that dent out. I may not be able to get it out. That bumper's, they're pretty thick, but I'm going to give it a whirl anyway. All right, we'll see how this is going to work. I'm hoping I can I've got some 2000 grit wet dry. I wish I'd have soaked it before I started. Got some soapy water in my spray bottle. I'm not going to get the hose and all out here. If I can just cut some of the oxidation off of this bumper and the buffer will bring it back out, I'll be happy. But I'm going to test it in a spot that won't be seen if I put a license plate or something on it. And I've got a sanding block, but I couldn't find it. So, imagine that. Most of the time, I just use a paint stick when I'm blocking a vehicle. I don't have one of them fancy new kid on the blocks or whatever they're called. I'll take a good heavy paint. God dang. Good heavy paint stick. Wrap it around my paper. And you can block one out pretty flat with that. I mean, if you're just doing show car, you'd want one of the longer blocks. But for what I do, a paint stick works just fine. And that looks like it took the oxidation, as long as I ain't just scratched the ever-loving daylights out of it. And this may be the way we end up going with it without cutting into the chrome too much. And the bumper's got some, it's got some battle scars, but the truck does too. It's not going to be perfect. Like I said, I'm not building a show truck, just a pretty good looking driver, hopefully, maybe. Be really excited I went ahead and went up on that, didn't I? Well, be really excited to get my tires on there so I can get my wheels on there. Been curious what they look like for a while. But in the buffer I've got, never used a random orbital DA dual action buffer, whatever it is. So this would be a good time to kind of test it out. See how it does. I could really probably use a little bit more sanding, but I want to see how that ends up polishing out. I can kind of see some of my sand marks right there, so we'll dry it off with a dry one. And run the buffer over that right there and see what it does. I don't even know what cut compound I got. I got a medium pad. Nope, fine pad. A fine one. I got a 7-inch pad on a 6-inch buffer, but it'll work. Do this, we'll try the tailgate out too. See if we can get some of that orange peel out of it. I know everybody that's looked at it said, well, crap, it looks fine, but nah, to me, I can tell. I may even scuff it with 800 or 1000 and get a little bit of, what do you call it? Clear coat and put over it. I'm going to spray my pad, a little bit of water, just mist a little on it. Not much, just a little. And the compound I got is heavy cut. Heck yeah, that's what we want, I guess. I don't know if it's what we want, but it's what we got. Alrighty. Dab that around on there a little bit so it don't just sling it everywhere. Well, I got my buffing pad into that screw and eat a chunk of it up, but I don't know if you can see it or not, but that just about, the buffer ain't really doing nothing for it. The sandpaper did scratch it just a little. So I'm gonna go over here and test a little spot with nothing but the buffing pad. And I think I either left too much water on the bumper, didn't get it dry, the pad ain't too wet, but I had about too much water right there. So I'm gonna try just, I know one thing, that buffing pad's picking up any of that black paint that was left over, the residue on it. I thought I had most of it off, but apparently I don't. Oh Lord, I put too much compound on there too. Lord have mercy. So let's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it may not come completely clean, but let's see what we can do. This is a vibrating son of a gun. Good Lord. Well, I don't know if y'all can tell, but that cleaned up pretty good. You can see, you can still see some when you get close. But you know, from a few feet away, looks pretty good. Pretty good. So that's kind of a after, it's kind of a before. So that removed a lot of the oxidation. So I'm not going to bore you with the rest of it. I'm going to set up, get the rest of it done. Actually, I take it back. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this dent out. You know, I got my body hammer just in case. Actually, I'm probably going to have to use it. We're just going to start with it. I've got an old dolly block. It ain't much. It's pretty soft metal, but, you know, it kind of gets the job done. More body work, really, than I like to do. Hold the ears, everybody. That's probably going to take a lick. That's going to need a licking. I'll wrap that up just so I don't scratch something up any worse than it already is. Not that it really matters. Well, I tried to show you what I've done. I cut me a cardboard template out. Kind of see how much curve I needed in that bumper. And I can flip it right around and should have about the same curve. As you can see, that corner is bent in quite a bit. Don't know that we'll get it all out, but I'm gonna set up here and yeah, it's gonna get pretty brutal. I'm gonna waylay on it and see how much of it we can get back out. So I'll lay it out here. Try this. I believe it moved. Yep, it has, just a little bit. I think I'm gonna just keep on with it and see if I can get a little bit more of it knocked out right here. It didn't crease it anymore when it got bent. It happened when it was getting used on the farm. This thing kicks back, almost wants to hit my leg. I think it's getting pretty close. Nope. Still need just a little more. That's pretty close. And we got it. The big hammer and standing on it took care of it. Like I had showed you, I cut this template out to match this side. And it will now fit in. Yeah, no, I'm probably running away. It could go maybe a little bit more, but it's good enough. I measured off the bumper bracket to the corners. I got 28 on both sides, so I think it's going to be plenty good. You know, I kind of looked down the bumper too to make sure we didn't tweak it, you know, twist one side or the other. It all looks good. So I'm going to get a wire brush, get in here, clean the inside of the bumper up. I thought I had some POR 15. I did have some, and it had hardened up. So it's probably going to get rust stolen. But I'm going to do that a lick. Probably go back over it one more time with the SOS pad. May hit it with a buffer and get it ready to bolt on. I was wanting the air dam that goes on the bottom. And my son-in-law took his off the 87, was going to throw it away. So I got it. It's got a few little bumps and bruises, but I'll show you how you can kind of straighten them out. Or we're going to try it, see if it'll work. I'm going to heat it up with a small propane torch, and I missed some overspray right here. Get some lacquer thinner, but we're going to take a little propane torch, kind of heat the air dam up and straighten it out. Try to get it bolted on here. Well, I went over it with the buffer. I tried some 2000 grit. Went over and buffed it, tried to polish it. Turned out pretty good, but I'll tell you, the old SOS pad with the soap built into it is polishing it up better about it than anything I can do with it. I hadn't used one in a long time, but we used to use them like on chrome wheels and stuff if they got a little bit of rust on them, but as you can still see a little bit of the ding. But we are, or I, I'm happy with it. It's gonna be good enough for it. I'm gonna go over and get the rest of it scuffed up with that, washed off, dried up, flip it over, water brush the back of it, and get ready to paint. And I may go ahead and bolt it on there in a minute. Well, you can still see, some scuffs, scratches in it. It's got some bumps and bruises, but for the most part, it's gonna be plenty good enough for the truck. Um, we just got back from the C10 Nationals, and I was looking at some of the AMD premium bumpers, and they say they're good as far as the finish staying on. I know the cheaper ones, in a couple of years, you're gonna have chrome start peeling. Even with the premium ones, I mean, they just don't have a finish like this. I mean, that bumper's factory 83 bumper, and you can see some scratches and stuff in it, scuffs on it, the bottom part especially. But the finish is still not even comparable to this. So yeah, we're gonna roll with this one. It'll stay on there as long as it's looking decent. Uh, We'll get it flipped over, get the bike painted, get the rust cleaned off it, just water brush it. Well, I got the bumper on. And like I said, I may end up buying me a new one. The finish on the new ones, though, even the ones I've looked at, the premium AMDs, the finish, the chrome finish, just not as good as the original. So I'm gonna run this one for a while. It's got some scuffs in some places you can see in it, but from a few feet away, you can't tell. I didn't film. Well, I've got my thing. I didn't film putting this up there, but let me get under here. So you're gonna have a bolt through the top. There's one through the bottom of your bracket. Your bracket sits up on top of this. If I can get in there, show you. Yeah. So you have a bolt here. I've missed one. There's a bolt on the top that I need to put in, and one that drops down through the top. I took these brackets off, the angle braces. Most of the time these are bad to spin in the bumper, but these actually come loose. It just helps give you a little wiggle room to run these two bolts in from the inside of the frame back. All in all, it lined back up. It's fit really well. Before I bent this corner back out, when I took it off the truck, it was bent in just nearly to the fender. And nothing was creased on it, so you can't even tell that I ever hammered it back out. So I'm gonna get the bolts tightened up, make sure I got it lined up good. And I'm pleased for what it was. I'm pleased with the way it's turned out. I wish I'd have took a good before of the bumper, but for what it is, it's done really good. It's turning out really good. So I'm gonna get it tightened up. I'm gonna get this backed out. I got a bunch of garbage in here, trash, tools scattered everywhere. I need to get them picked up. Still got to get me some headlights ordered and get my grill surround trim and find all my grill screws. It's just hanging there still by one screw. And do something with my little wire. May cut it down, shorten it, and have it hid up in here. That's just a piece of welding wire that I attached to the hood latch. If you ever had one of these hood latch cables to break, you'd know it'd be handy to have another way to open it up. So I may end up getting me a piece of steel braided cable, little bitty 16th inch or something, or some picture frame wire, putting in there and hooking on it and leaving it hanging or taped up in under the bottom, something somehow, just in case my hood latch cable ever breaks, because they are a pain to get undone. So I'm gonna get this tightened up and get it pulled outside, and we'll see what it looks like out in the sun. Well, there it is, all cleaned up, bolted on. You know, just because you got an old ratty looking bumper, and I mean, this one's still not the best. Don't throw it away. You know, the originals, it's hard to get anything to fit back like original, like everything lined right back up on it. So that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully, don't know when, but hopefully the next one's getting these mounted up on there. They had actually done be on it, but waiting on the lug nuts. So I'm gonna get the garage, got a mess in here, get it cleaned up a little bit, and get back with it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.